Welcome back to What She Said Sports. This Shanola girl checking in. Welcome to the Huddle. All right, it's the Midday Huddle. We have several topics to talk about. In fact, I'm gonna be live 3 times today. The 10:35 is already planned, and I have a special live happening somewhere in the 7 o'clock time frame. That's probably gonna last about an hour or two. So get ready, get sick of seeing me today. All right. So first, I got some shout outs. Let me give some shout outs. First and foremost, I always seem to remember this young man's birthday, although I need a reminder. Shout out to Caleb Mathis at Colorado. Happy birthday, Caleb. Happy birthday. I remember posting about his birthday last year, and it was funny. They took him, I saw a video where they took him, they take him to the pool and they throw him into the cold tub or the hot tub or whatever that is, they rehab area. And last year we were worried about them getting hurt, but this year they were good. So it was Caleb's birthday again. So happy birthday, Caleb. Is his father still a coach at Colorado, Coach Mathis? Let me know. So I just wanted to get that shout out together. And then I want to share that, in case y'all don't know, the Teddy Bridgewater Act has passed in Florida in the Senate, which is huge because we're talking about Florida. And I was like, I wonder why they supported this, right? So the Teddy Bridgewater Act is where the high school coaches administrators, coaches, people outside the school system that are not like the principals and the budgetary folks can spend up to $15,000 of their own money so they can help out the programs that they, help to develop. So remember last year when Teddy Bridgewater took his old high school, I think Miami, North Miami or something like that, to a state championship game, and we learned that he was spending his own money. This is an area where some of the kids in the area, were impoverished, didn't have a lot. So he was blessed. So he was blessing others, but he got in trouble and this, that, and the other. So that has been remedied. So the Teddy Bridgewater Act has remedied that situation. And surprisingly, in the state of Florida, it passed. So you can go read about it on X or any other platform. And Teddy Bridgewater is now, in the NFL. But if he wanted to go back and coach high school football, he doesn't have to worry about getting in trouble for helping out the kids. And the way he helped out was transportation, paying for Ubers for these kids because they couldn't get to and from. Now, I saw a post by a coach, and I guess it was a skit, and he was talking about how they drop off the kids from practice, and it annoys him that when he gets to the house, it's 5 cars on the driveway. So if y'all have kids that were in sports, y'all might likely understand the dilemma with these kids getting back and forth. I remember LeBron, his documentary, they talked about a coach picking him up and dropping him off. So that must be a big theme in sports in areas where, the kids don't have a lot. The parents are at work and they don't have the ability to take the kids back and forth. So now coaches can pay for kids' Ubers. He was paying for treatment for them because they were working out. So he was basically filling in the gap that the school system wasn't doing. Now, I remember people were like, why are y'all mad? Because of the school that they beat. So you had a bunch of poor kids who beat a bunch of rich kids. That's really what it was. And he got slapped on the wrist for it. And it seemed ungrateful, right? A lot of people were being ungrateful and expecting him to do it. So it was a lot happening. But the point is, it has been turned into the Bridgewater Act. It is law. It can happen. So now coaches that want to help these programs don't feel restricted by the school system, which sometimes works to impoverish these areas that are not wealthy. We already know how they rob the poor to give to the rich. We already know how, like, taxation, homes being taxed. If you live in a nice neighborhood and the tax rate is higher, the schools are generally higher. If you live in an area where there's a lot of apartments, there's not a lot of houses, there's not a lot of taxes to pay, the schools don't have a lot. So Teddy Bridgewater was filling a gap between the two, and now it has been turned into law. So congratulations to everybody in the state of Florida that worked on that. I'm shocked because the state of Florida, is special. And it's so special that they put people over FAMU, Florida A&M University, and they wouldn't allow them to use the word Black for Black History Month at a HBCU, historically Black college and university. So while that's happening, the Teddy Bridgewater Act is passing on a smaller scale. They out here attacking HBCUs in Florida. So shout out to everybody involved with the Teddy Bridgewater act being passed. That's huge, right? Feeling my shout out face. Moving on, moving on. This young lady, if I didn't say it already, congratulations to Layla Edwards for being a gold medalist. There were two black gold medalists in the Winter Olympics, and both of them, I think, were women. And this young lady is from Cleveland Heights, Ohio. So Cleveland actually has a gold medalist. So they're probably talking about this on their local news. But I intended to talk about this yesterday, but we have a lot of topics to cover, and I can't get to everything. So just in case I didn't mention it, congratulations to Layla. Somebody said they wanted me to make sure that I addressed it. Now, I posted yesterday. My stories were on and popping. When I say my stories are on and popping, when I say they are stacked with information. And I celebrated Layla there, but somebody wanted to make sure that I celebrated her on the show. And like I said, there was another gold medalist, and she was African American. I did a search for everybody that was African American, Black Olympians. That's what they call them. And it was two. I forget the other lady's name. My apologies. But I wanted to say congratulations because she's playing hockey. Now, don't forget, we shared earlier when hockey had their draft, they had drafted a significant number of Black men into the National Hockey League. And I was like, whoa. One point it was 3. The number I heard was 10, but the 3 was definitely valid. And I think maybe it had made it to 10 overall. So Black people are starting to play hockey more, and seeing Layla opens the doors, especially for young Black girls, and all of the Black men being drafted into the National Hockey League brings interest in the culture that way. Everybody wants a piece of the culture. Everybody wants a piece of the culture. Do not ever apologize for being Black. Do not ever apologize for the culture, and make sure that when you hear people tearing down the culture or trying to control the culture and trying to say that the culture is limited to rap music, you set them straight, because everybody wants a piece of the culture. Let me tell you something else about the culture. The culture moves. You know what's happening today? Black people are deciding to start talking about the e-files in any capacity that they can, and watch what happens. Watch what happens in the next couple of days now that Black people are converging on the topic. Yeah, we had to hang back a little bit and talk about it. I've been talking about it. If you're a member of this podcast, I went live late last night because some of the things that are shared are just not things that you can talk about above ground, because certain people are being attacked. Certain people, their channels are being pulled, etc. I talked about that. And then some of the things are just not made for this space. So, shout out to the culture. It's something that, just like our melanin, which is $10,000 an ounce, and it's even reported that they were trying to extract the melanin and sell it or use it for themselves. We need to protect the melanin and appreciate it. And we need to protect the culture by any means necessary, because they keep trying to replicate it. And when they can't replicate it, they want to tear it down. So be proud of the culture and be proud of your melanin. The reason why there are 3.5 million documents and 3 million more is because they hate your melanin. But they have labs where they're trying to extract it and use it and inject it into themselves. All right. So shout out to Layla Edwards from Cleveland Heights. So I'm sure Cleveland has a lot to be proud of. Black people love hockey jerseys. Wham probably never went to a hockey game. And I like them too. So again, the culture, the effects of the culture. So I can't wait to see in a few years, more and more people go into hockey space. Man, Black figure skating. Black figure skaters have come on like gangbusters, y'all. I watch Black figure skating now. Oh my God, they so good. Oh, and all you hear, the athleticism, the speed, and they make it so exciting and they make it so fun, right? So that's another space. So NASCAR, hockey, hell, pickleball. Trey Young has a pickleball league. Pickleball and NASCAR, hockey, pickleball, and figure skating. Those are 4 areas that Black people are growing into, and the culture is beginning to embrace those areas. I love it. I'm probably gonna be at a NASCAR track. We have one right here in Atlanta called Echo Park. In fact, Bubba Wallace was just doing an interview talking about how the stickiest racetrack, the toughest racetrack that leaves you mentally drained, that you have to figure out how to win on, is in Atlanta. I said, "Ooh, I'm going." I said, "Ooh, I'm going," because they already had a boots on the ground festival out there last year. But this year, I'm learning, because I told you I was learning about NASCAR. See, I know a little more than I knew last year. And y'all were talking about last night how the Chicago Bears are apparently trying to move to North Indiana, which is interesting in itself. And because where these stadiums are, the communities benefit. We'll talk about that another time. But, I wanted to, point out, like, they had a race for NASCAR, and Angel Reese's face was on the hood of the McDonald's car that was driven by Bubba Wallace, which was owned by Michael Jordan. I was so proud of that. So I wanted to go to that race in Chicago, and why they decided to postpone it for 2026. I'm like, really? I was like, really? But they said they're going to do it again in 2027. So, Lord willing, I want to make that race. So it was nice to just see that connection, right? Chicago, Angel Reese, Bubba Wallace, and Michael Jordan. And Michael Jordan just won the Daytona 500, which is a huge race in Indianapolis, or NASCAR, not Indianapolis, but NASCAR. It's one of the big races, which is why he said he felt like he won a ring. So people say he has 7 rings now. So shout out to them. All right, so let's head on over here into college football a little bit. As we get into college football, what the hell is going on at Georgia? They said Georgia is setting records on and off the field. They have had 32 of their players arrested over a significant period of time, but the school has seemingly adopted a reputation of the players. So what's going on? Is it that are the players being targeted in Athens, or are they attracting a certain type of player? Meaning, like Coach Prime, he's serious about character. Do they not have that standard? Are they intentionally getting people that make themselves look bad? What's going on at Georgia? How can you be this top school and have all of these athletes, but you have 32 of your players over time arrested? You've become some type of, I don't know, that's negative, right? Like, what's going on there? And we already talked about Georgia and how they don't really have any black quarterbacks. They do have a lot of arrests. So maybe it's good that, our players don't go there to be quarterbacks, but something's going on. I don't know if they're getting arrested in Athens and they being targeted by Athens police, or if Georgia is recruiting people, and I don't know, because why is that only happening there? So y'all let me know what you think about this Georgia situation. It's a bad look on the program. It's a bad look on the university. It's a bad look, period. And I don't know what's going on, but this caught my attention and I saved it. I've had it for a few days, so I just wanted to bring it up. And y'all let me know about what the hell is going on at Georgia. Because at Colorado, Coach Prime say, if you get arrested, don't call me. So we definitely not going to have 32 players being arrested like this. So I remember last year they had players that were the reckless driving and they ran into somebody's house and stuff like that, and DUIs and all these different things. So I don't know what the hell is going on. They sound like some kind of breeding form for trouble. So that's what it's given. And, a lot of people want to go to Georgia so they can get drafted, but it sounds like you have to survive something, some type of culture over there. Not the culture, but some type of culture. Georgia culture just doesn't seem to be respectable when it comes to the football program. So let me know what your thoughts are there. All right. So Coach Prime is a genius when it comes to football. One of the things we love about Coach Prime is how he innovates. That's the term that I use, does things a different way. The transfer portal was one. We ain't hard to find what they call that last year, the thing where they came together and they had all the players to work out. I think it was just like an NFL workout, but the showcase, he called it into the We Ain't Hard to Find showcase. Remember, there were all the, reporters of the schools and all the different NFL teams were there just to watch Colorado players. That was another one. Now it's the spring game. So Coach Prime has innovated the spring game and decided to hold a draft. That's right. Coach Prime decided to hold a spring game or a spring ball draft where the players, he devised the system. And I saw a post that said the caption was Coach Prime wants his players to make money. So that means he wanted to teach them, different ways that they can make money, which is perfect because that's what we've been talking about as fans. Watch this, and I want to share this with y'all. And we're going to watch this clip together. Shout out to Risha People Media. I left him a very nice comment. And I told Darius, he always does a wonderful job. And Darius has elevated his game, right, from beyond just regular recording and videography to storytelling. And, I just left him a message that said this was an excellent video. Coach Prime is a damn football genius. I've heard people call him football Jesus, Black football Jesus, because, he's so innovative. And then I said, happy birthday to Caleb. So let's take a look at this clip. I think this is it right here. And we'll see. Oh, no, that's not it. That's Shiloh and Shedeur. Where's my little clip at? Let's see. I have so much media sitting in front of me. Oh, here it is right here.
Are you the leader?
I'm drafting today.
I'm going for draft.
No hard feelings.
No, I'm gonna have hard feelings. Do the right thing. Do the right thing.
No hard feelings.
Do the right thing. He tell her, do the right thing. Hey, I don't want to bet that high. It's too late. No, bro. Leaders.
All right, so they're in the auditorium. To give you some context, they're in the auditorium. And everybody was celebrating Caleb's birthday. And it's a lot of new faces. I don't know a lot of these players, but what I do notice is they have a bond. There's already a bond established between the players. So we get ready to be introduced to the spring ball draft. So listen up.
Ben Finisat, the YC, and I play safety. What's going on? My name's Brady Kopeth. You can call me Brick. Play tight end.
What's up, y'all? I'm Zach Atkins. I play tight end.
RJ Johnson, corner.
Look at these are the rules. When you can't draft your position first, so that pick automatically goes to the opposing team. Ben don't count because he can't practice, so he does get to, when it's time, if it's their turn for the strong safeties, he does get to pick the guy first. They will have 30 seconds to pick. Let me see the clock. Get free time out.
So here's the thing. This tells you right here. They don't have step at Colorado. They don't have step at Colorado. Coach Prime was teaching the rules of it. Notice Ben is on crutches. Yes, get well soon. He had surgery. Ben is the leader of Ben is the leader of the team. I have noticed this. Ben is the leader of the team, and he's doing a mighty fine job. And he's taking the initiative. And Coach Prime recognized him over the years. He's the leader of the team, and I think this might be his last year. And he told them early, the guys that were all new and introducing themselves, he said, "Don't mess this up for me." And you see how he's taking the lead. He's making sure they don't mess this up for him. This is huge. So they even got it down to the chime. So shout out to Coach for this. Let's get back into it.
That pick automatically goes to the opposing team. Ben don't count because he can't practice, so he does get to, when it's time, if it's their turn for the strong safeties, he does get to pick the guy first. They will have 30 seconds to pick. Let me see the clock. Get free time out. This is serious. We compete on the field before we start camp or whatever we get to do. Considering Coach Swayze, it's going to be your teams. It ain't going to be, like what offense versus defense. It's going to be your teams. And sometimes we go practice. We may have an all-team day. On the clock. We got Julian Lewis. There we go.
Now, see who they pick first. The first person off the board is Julian Lewis. Now, let me tell you something. I was watching this and I said, okay, one of the things about this spring ball draft is Coach Prime having them to draft each other. He identified leaders of the team. Brady Kopech. Remember last year when they played at an away game, they were at the hotel and it was one of the players got at the front, and he was very inspirational and motivational for the team. That was Brady Kopech. So you see, he got the leaders of the team, Ben, Brady, and there's 2 other guys, and he made them the leaders to draft for the positions. And you see, they drafted their quarterback. These players got together and drafted Juju. So that's telling you that they believe in Juju. So Coach Prime has established leadership, innovation, and confidence, and team bonding. People in the comments were like, watch other teams adopt it. Look, I don't care. That's probably what they're going to do, but they should. And they need to give Coach Prime credit for it, right? This man was just denied for the 2nd time by the NCAA for the spring game. He said, you know what, don't worry about it. We'll focus on ourselves. And then this is what he comes up with. This is why I say he going to make it to whatever it is he going to make it to. And they making his road hard. And one of the reasons it is allowed is so he can learn who his enemy really is. But because Coach Prime come from the NFL world and was on the desk, things that a lot of Black people didn't do at the time. So it seemed that he was kind of one of them a little bit, where they had him in the rooms, him and Shedeur and Bucky with the billionaires, right? And they showed him, you ain't one of us, you just work here. So he had to learn that for himself. And God is still covering him and protecting him. This proves it. Because he could have lashed out. He could have sulked. He could have said something. He said, you know what, don't worry about it. And came and still moved the sport of football forward. Still chose to be innovative rather than just go collect the check until my time up and I'm out. That's a good person. That's a godly person. So let's get back to it. Shout out to Coach Prime. That's why I say Coach Prime is a football genius, but he also a good person.
In the 2026 spring ball draft, Camille Sweetmeyer. You're selecting Isaac Wilson.
Dominique Ponder. Okay, so they got Isaac Wilson and Dominique Ponder. Okay.
My man Richard.
So that's active the tight end on the screen.
Let's go. Let's go.
2026 spring ball draft. Damian Henderson.
You got Michael Wilkes.
Look at Michael. Wow. Michael has put on some muscle. Anybody else see how statuesque Michael Wilson is? Wow. I mean, he has put on some weight. Wow.
Our next running back, we're going with Bryce. Bryce. Shaquille, welcome home.
Let's do it.
Come on. We're going with Titus.
That's good.
Leo, come on, Leo, let's go.
That's right, Leo. Afro brother, bro. You see it, bro? You need a cut, bro. Bro, I do need a cut. I need a cut. Don't worry. I'm getting one today. Me too. I'm getting a cut today. I'm getting a cut tomorrow. We're going to get a cut today.
The wide receiver room. Danny Scudero.
Now everybody's talking about
KP.
Let's do it, man. Let's do it.
Okay.
Yeah, you're viral. We went viral. We went viral. I don't
All right, we got Caleb Mathis.
Cadero's a kid from Mexico or Sac State, I think. There's Caleb. There's some wide receivers, I think.
Yeah, our next pick, X.
Let's go. Let's do it.
Fair time. Okay, that was the wide receivers. Okay. All right. So go watch it. It's worth it. Go watch it. Reach the People Media. I saw Bucky sitting right in the middle filming, so he'll likely come out with it. Towards the end, when I was looking at it, I said another benefit, another positive for Coach Prime doing this is showing the players, teaching them the draft process opens the door for them to think about other avenues to professional sports, whether it's baseball, the front office. He's giving them an opportunity to be GMs. See what I'm talking about? That's what makes Colorado so great. And it shows it's ignorant as hell for the Big 12 and for CU to try to push this man out. This man is good for these kids. He's good for the sport. They should be happy. Matter of fact, they should name a damn building after him, maybe the practice facility or something, because this is legendary. Nobody else is doing this. Just like nobody else is making those throws. Nobody else is doing this. I'm impressed. And everybody should be impressed because I was watching Ole Miss, right? Y'all know I follow Trinidad. I'm over there thinking I'm going to just go to YouTube and find their content that Bucky makes and Darius makes for Colorado and that Colorado football makes now for Colorado. And they make many films really good. And they own it this year. They don't have it. They don't have it. They don't have it. I'm like, huh? Are you serious? So again, CU and the Big 12 is ignorant as hell for trying to push out Coach Prime with all that he's brought to this school in addition to the money. We're talking about the marketing, the exposure. They don't have to pay for that. They don't have to pay for that. And nobody is doing it on that scale. It reached the people media. And you have Bucky. That's two people putting out different perspectives, different views on the damn team, which makes people want to come to the school because I can't even find it on Ole Miss. You know why Ole Miss is in the news today? Because Stephen A. went there for LSU versus Ole Miss game. And he said he'll be back for a football game. I'm like, y'all ain't stopped. Y'all need y'all a Bucky. That's exactly what I said. A Bucky and a Darius. Can you believe it? Other schools after Coach Prime been there 4 years still don't have media like that. Now, shout out to Tennessee and BYU because they have put together podcasts by their athletes where they were like yesterday, Tennessee, their athletes were playing Madden online on the podcast. That's good. I think that's good. At least you have something. You have something to invite people in to your football team's environment. So when fans want to learn more about Trinidad Shamblers, I got to go to X and see what they saying. That sucks, bro. I'm like, oh, Lord. So I'm not going to be able to just follow along and get to know the Ole Miss players because there's no Bucky, there's no Darius, there's no media like that. What all the resources that they have, they projected to be number one in the SEC, the mighty SEC, and y'all don't have no coverage. No daily coverage of your team, or at least no podcast with your team playing Madden or bonding and talking about your experiences or nothing. How is that not antiquated and in the dark? Oh, y'all need to get it together. You have all of this interest from the outside. Get y'all a Bucky, get y'all a Darius, and get going. So other schools don't have it. And they hated it when Colorado did it, but it's a wonderful thing, is it not? Like Bucky says. So I was surprised. I thought by now other schools adopted because it works. It's good. That's why Colorado had all of their games on TV and many of them were primetime. That's also why Colorado's game for Georgia Tech has been moved to primetime. And ESPN is covered. So you shouldn't need Stephen A. to come to your school to have some type of, coverage. Anyway, let me know your thoughts about these schools still not adopting the Coach Prime way. Let me know your thoughts. Okay, so that's that on that. All right, so I wanted to get into Shedeur today because the fans are holding it down for QB1. And then I want to talk about Shiloh after his snowboarding yesterday. All right, so let me just get into Shiloh for a minute. So Shiloh went snowboarding, and I shared it a little bit. We talked about it on the podcast, and I shared a video after the podcast because he fell. And I told people to go watch it to see he hurt his knee. So he had some kind of contusion or something on his knee, and the guy was telling him he could have injured his patella or something like that. And Shiloh was like, I'm done. And he posted on his video, his caption was, I could have ended my career. And I was like, what career? I mean, instantly, my mind went, what career? What was he talking about? He meant football. So there you go. It proves that, while Shiloh is doing the content, he still wants to get back to football. And he's protecting his body, which he said he's not going to snowboard anymore because, he wants to make sure he's available, ready and available to play. So he don't want to put himself at risk. So for those of us who thought he was going full content and not looking back, that's not the case. He still wants to play football. And I hope he gets that opportunity. Now, in the comments, Faith and By Design in our community were having a conversation. And this plays right into what I'm talking about. We were talking about Shedeur, and we were talking about how Shedeur had to say goodbye to Wyatt Teller, who was supportive. And the Browns do not seemingly want to let Joel Bitonio go. In fact, they're working to make his contract comfortable so he'll stay. And I think Faith asked, why on earth would the Browns want to keep Joel Bitonio and let Wyatt Teller walk, right? And By Design replied and said she wondered if Joel Bitonio had something like know what about is a Barrett. If there was something he could like use to threaten the team for them to keep him because he knows what about is a Barrett. Now we've had this conversation. And I just liked that conversation, but I knew I was going to talk about it here. So shout out to Faith and shout out to By Design. This was very good dialogue because we talked about Stefanski knowing what about is the Barrett, and look how he elevated. And I pointed out that right before he left, he kept talking about scripts, right? He kept talking about this is a script and this is a script. And it's like, I said, oh, is he trying to tell it, right? And people wondered if he was tearing down the team because he knew he was going to get fired. And I said, that's the danger of leaving people in place that you need to terminate because they can tear everything down. So what I'm getting at is the conversation is valid. But what it tells me, in addition to people are starting to get it, it tells me that if you have fans discussing the possibility of the Browns keeping a player that failed and didn't protect the quarterback and they want to bring him back, is that they see something nefarious could be happening. Extortion, that's what that would be. Threatening someone with information that you asked me not to protect Shedeur, or there was a plot that Stefanski devised and he recruited players or bribed players, like coaches were bribed to lose, just like another bounty gate. There's a bounty gate in Cleveland to push out Shedeur by not protecting him so that he could lose. So that's one. On the flip side of that is the Stefanski part. The part where was he incentivized to lose like Brian Flores, but instead of Brian Flores, he said no. Did Stefanski say yes? Did Stefanski intimidate and coerce and retaliate against players, right? Like Wyatt Teller, Tony Brown. But then now Stefanski's gone and we're still seeing it. So now the question, this is bullet point number 3, is the Browns organization intimidating, coercing, rewarding players for a bounty gate type system to hurt Shedeur, whether it's stepping on his nail, whether it's to hurt his career, to derail his career. It's not a stretch. The reason why it's not a stretch is because it's already documented and moving through federal court, the allegations that it happened to coaches. It's already documented that bounty gate already happened in the NFL with the Saints. So when you put those two together, it's exactly what's happening in Cleveland. When you put the Brian Flores case together, when you put bounty gate together, when you look at Richie Incognito, the higher ups encouraging him to try to run off Jonathan Martin, where the Browns organization repeating Richie Incognito and Jonathan Martin, except for Shedeur, is Jonathan Martin. Are they rewarding Joel Bitonio because he was the leader of the team and he was caught dirt diving, not to protect Shedeur, but to derail Shedeur's efforts in the game? All of this is valid. And because fans are discussing it from a player perspective, and we've already discussed it from a coaching perspective with Stefanski, and now we're seeing the same behavior be repeated, and we're talking about the organization's perspective. The point is something nefarious is happening with the Browns to derail Shedeur, where it appears that the Browns organization hires and or retains coaches and or players to derail the career of Shedeur Sanders and other Black quarterbacks, because Joel Bitonio did not just get there. And they did the same thing with Deshaun Watson in 2024. They needed an O-line in 24 and didn't get it in 25. And the excuse is why they didn't get it in 25 is because they pivoted. What did they pivot from? And Andrew Berry decided to put that on his shoulders, and he gonna pay for it. Because see, what we're discussing, what fans are now discussing, it's not a question of sabotage. Yes, that's there. It's now coming out that this is beyond Stefanski. This is the organization itself, the organization that people have called dysfunctional. So now the scandal is moving on up to where it should be, to the higher ups, to ownership. And we're talking about bribery, extortion, retaliation, intimidation. Do you know what a RICO is? Organized criminal activities, racketeering, corruption. And it all is rooted in one thing: racism. So when I saw their conversation and they were talking about a player, and we've already had the conversation about Stefanski, who's the coach, and we're seeing the same behavior, and Stefanski's gone, you have to look at the leaders of the team and the ownership. The fans are already calling out the owners, the longtime fans who've had PSLs for 20 years, the people on the petition side of things that let their voices be heard with their messages, are holding ownership accountable. And with our community having conversations amongst themselves, talking about the players and why they want to push out Wyatt Teller and hold on to Batonio, now you have fans on a different side holding ownership and the leaders of the team accountable. And that's what Andrew Berry gonna pay, because he's deciding to put this on his shoulders on why he didn't get an O-line. So now people are going to look at him and think he's the person that wants to keep Batonio when it's the owner. And Stefanski's gone, and we already had this conversation. Now we're having it about players. So when you put it together, players and coaches, who controls the players and coaches? The front office. And Andrew Berry can decide to put all this on his shoulders if he wants to, but I see straight to the owner. And so do the fans who've had PSLs for 20 years. So they all gonna get caught up in it, because what is becoming apparent is nefarious, racketeering-esque behavior, or behaviors indicative of racketeering, organized, nefarious behavior. Surrounding restricting Shedeur Sanders' movement and or opportunities, which is collusion, involving intimidation, retaliation, coercion, and we're rewarding the nefarious behavior. Manipulation. Manipulation, not just of Shedeur Sanders' movement, but fixing and rigging games for Shedeur Sanders to lose certain games. It's racketeering, folks. It's racketeering. And when fans start having these conversations in these communities, and you have fans who have had PSLs for 20 years saying it's the ownership, chickens are being prepared to come home to roost. Understand, we are now like an airplane, this nefarious sabotage to derail Shedeur's career involving fixing and rigging games and intimidation, retaliation, coercion, bribery, maybe extortion, is an airplane getting ready to pivot on the runway and take the hell off. Trust me on that one. So shout out to people in the community for having enough sense to see what's going on. Shout out to the fans with the PSLs in Cleveland for 20 years that was born into it, that are calling out ownership. And when everybody get on the same page, that jet gonna take off. We almost there. I want you to imagine a plane backing away from the gate and turning around and slowly approaching the lane that they gonna turn left on and fly off from. That's where we are. Slowly approaching the runway. Moving from the tarmac at the gate to the runway. Chickens are being prepared to come home to roost. Thankfully. So let's get to Shedeur. All right. So we talked about how Shedeur said bye to Wyatt Teller. And in addition to that, I pointed out that the people associated with the Browns or Brown podcasters, media, want to keep talking about a quarterback, and they need to get the quarterback conversation. Stop talking about it because they have their quarterback, right? And whether they are just having this conversation because they think they picking at Shedeur and going to make his life hard, Shedeur ain't paying attention to them, right? He not paying attention to them, and mentally he's tough. He's not worried about that. So the fans have clearly picked up on that all they want to talk about is a quarterback. Now, I'm waiting for the fans to realize that all the quarterbacks they're talking about are black. So first it was Malik Willis. Today, it's Kyler Murray and Anthony Richardson. And I'm like, now how long is it going to be for the fans that's showing up? Because the fans are barking back on X, and that's huge. So let me show you what I'm talking about. So you have a couple of posts today suggesting 1, Kyler Murray, 2, Anthony Richardson. So that's the main post. And of course, they put these posts out there to inspire dialogue. And what they believe is that fans will agree with their suggestion. When they make these posts and they make these videos, they are making suggestions as to what should happen. And the reason, they have had conversations about these suggestions of who the next quarterback should be in Cleveland is because every time they mention a quarterback that should come to Cleveland, he's black. I have said it before. Black quarterbacks are not the majority of the total numbers of quarterbacks. So how is it that every time you want to bring a quarterback to Cleveland, whether it was in the draft, and when it was the draft conversation, it was Dante Moore. Well, seemingly, since Dante Moore went back to school, they can't think of nobody else. So now they want to go to the veteran market, and they want to get 2 black quarterbacks, either Anthony Richardson or Kyler Murray, and a third person, Geno Smith. Okay. I said, this is how I know y'all have conversations. This is how I know y'all have conversations about who to get. This is how I know they have conversations about what we're going to do to Shedeur. This is how I know they have conversations about 17 to 32. Capturing, containing only black quarterbacks, stacking them together on teams and multiples of 2s or now triplets. Why is it with all the quarterbacks out there, do you only keep wanting a black quarterback to come to Cleveland? And what does that point to? It points to racism. It points to coordinated efforts by the media to only suggest black quarterbacks. Now, somebody suggested Mac Jones. So shout out to them who threw him into the mix. But today, and it's the same people, and they talk to the same people that say the Browns are only going to win 6 games. So let me get this straight. You say the Browns, you're a betting house. You say the Browns going to only win 6 games, and you got a picture of Shedeur on the cover, as if with Shedeur it's going to be lackluster. And over here on this side, we find that quarterbacks. So putting out that a betting house says Shedeur is a picture of Shedeur with the caption, the Browns going to only win 6 games. What does that do? It tries to justify having the quarterback conversation, that he's not the guy. The most we're going to do is 6 games with him. So it's supposed to rile the fans up to go, no, that's not good enough. Let's find another quarterback. And then that injects the media and the podcasters and the analysts to start suggesting quarterbacks. But they are all black. So this is a coordinated effort to do exactly what I said it is to do. Not to just derail Shedeur's career, but to ruin the careers of black starting quarterbacks. To take a QB1 like Kyler Murray, who was colluded against, and bring him to Cleveland where his career is supposed to die. To take Geno Smith and move him out the way so he's not over there behind Mendoza, which is already a slap in the face. But the point is he can't challenge him. So you bring him over here with Shedeur and make them fight for it and pit black people together. Either these people are wired to think this way, or they have sat down and had meetings and conversations about 17-32 and continuously disrupting the career of Black quarterbacks by putting them all together. Why isn't Kyler Murray suggested for Minnesota? Why isn't Anthony Richardson able to compete to get his job back from Daniel Jones that they made him get hurt to get in, like Tyrod Taylor? Do you see what I'm talking about? So when you see people on X banding together under a post, every post that they want to bring in Kyler Murray, they want to bring in Anthony Richardson, they want to talk about Geno Smith. Well, here's what they're doing. We're good. They're putting up pictures of Shedeur. Here it is. You get a QB. You get a QB. They pushing back. They're telling you, these are fans. These are fans. It's that, man, can we please stop with this bullshit? Our whole O-line gone, and we really want to talk about a QB. Facts. So what this tells me is, in addition to the petition put out by people who've been over there for 20 years, and then communities like ours who see exactly what time it is, and having these conversations, and now on X, a platform where they just say what the hell they want to say, and people just generally go along with it, they are pushing back. So Deshaun and his wife have become the gift or the meme to respond to say, we're good with Shedeur. I was so happy to see that. I'm happy to see people pushing back fans. I'm happy to see fans pushing back on the petition side. I'm happy to see fans pushing back on these platforms under these people's comments who think that if they all get together and post and repeat the same crap, that that's what it's going to be. That you're going to convince us that that's what it should be. Hell no. So now Deshaun and his wife, or the response when they talk about bringing in this quarterback, bringing in that quarterback to replace Shedeur, who they trying to convince you gonna only win 6 games. We good with Shedeur. So now wrist up the Shedeur means something else. It means Shedeur Sanders is our QB1. And when you have fans pushing for that, that's when that plane get a little closer to the runway. And that's exactly what the Browns did not want. And it proves that the media's efforts to try to control the narrative so that the Browns can lead on their narrative and suppress Shedeur is failing. The fans are pushing back in multiple areas, on social media, in the communities, and in Cleveland. And that's exactly what needs to happen. And we got a long off season. So there's a lot of time to lend your voice to these conversations and wrist up. We good. Shedeur Sanders is QB1. And that's how Shedeur Sanders going to be QB1. But then there's Joel Bitonio and the other. Now that's going to be a different problem. So shout out to the fans. I wanted y'all to see this. I wanted y'all to see they still at it with only suggested Black quarterbacks. I was happy to see somebody say, why y'all keep suggesting quarterbacks? Now, since the podcast a little early, I want to see how long it's going to be before somebody realizes that they only suggesting Black quarterbacks. And what I mean by that is 17-32 will become more and more understood and discussed. They might not call it that, but eventually somebody going to catch on. It's just going to take some time. So let me know your thoughts about that, right? So shout out to the fans. We good. Deshaun and his wife are now the message. You know they don't like this. So we're going to see what happens with this, because now they going to see it and it's going viral, and people are going to, you know, they don't want Deshaun and Shedeur to be on the same page. And I said, if you make these players triplets, it's going to work against the team. You're going to make these players bond, which is the direct opposite of what you intended. And it's going to work against you, because when they start bonding, they're going to start talking. And when they start talking, they're going to start coming up with ideas. And when they get ideas, they're going to come up with solutions. And when they come up with solutions, they might end up with a class action lawsuit. So keep stacking them together. It ain't going to work out like you think. So shout out to the fans. Shout out to the fans for holding it down, for QB1 Shedeur Sanders. So basically in Cleveland, Shedeur Sanders is the fans' QB1. So now the Browns, second year in a row, gonna need to fight their fans who already have a petition pushing for new ownership. Because they ain't gonna get no accountability. That's right. They'll get placated. That's about it. So I'm headed over to the comments to see what y'all think. But I'm proud. I'm proud because this is a movement. And people have said it, Shedeur is a movement. This is a movement when the fans push back on their narratives that are coordinated efforts to destroy Shedeur's career, just like they did in the draft. Yeah, you might have got away with that. But now you got to fight your fans. So how much do you want to destroy the business that you own? Because your business is dependent on the fans that you want to go to war with. Good luck with that shit. All right. So, hey, Blind Beauty, how you doing? How you doing? Happy Friday. Hey, Tina, how you doing? How you doing? Welcome back. Hey, Sharon. Hey, Miss D. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It said Coach Mathis is the Nickelback coach. Okay, thank you for clarifying. Okay, so Echo That Media is saying that Caleb's dad, happy birthday to Caleb, is still a coach at Colorado. I didn't know, so thank you for the clarity. I'm getting back into the Colorado conversation now that we get close to the spring game. Don't be surprised if I pop up in Colorado. I weathered the winter here in Atlanta, so I think I'll be all right. I really didn't want to go because it was cold. Anthony say, "What's up, Queen? How you doing? How you doing?" It said they don't want the Black children to have anything. Yeah, it's disgusting. It said, "Did you hear about Coach Moore at?" It said the judge there ruled that the police were issued a warrant based upon untruths. What are we talking about? Coach Moore at? Oh, Sharon Moore. Yeah, we talked about Sharon Moore the other day, and we said that his charges might get dropped because the police falsified some things to get the warrant, and that the lady he was in the affair with, it was determined that she lied on Sharon Moore to try to out Michigan. I don't believe that for 1 second, but that's what's being said. So yes, we have talked about that on our previous podcast. Thank you for that, Sharon. Thank you so much. It said, I heard today that a Black person invented hockey. Really? I wonder who that was. I wonder who that was. There are a lot of people on different platforms doing a very fine, mighty job of talking about consistently, daily, Black history and all the things that we invented. And I'm like, damn, Black people really invented a whole lot of stuff. And I was like, it's amazing that could happen when you think about how the oppression, Jim Crow, this is the era that we were just out here inventing everything while they were also trying to suffocate Black people with Jim Crow. Isn't it amazing how we still elevated, still invented everything? There was a young white lady that did a post maybe about 2 years ago. She said if Black people left the country in a mass exodus and took everything they invented, we'd just be over here sitting in the dark doing nothing. Facts. And I was like, well, maybe we invented everything because, they leaders was over there eating children. So that's what it's giving. That's what it's giving. You was too busy doing that. And we was over here making it rain because you was doing that and you've been doing that. If you watched the Members Only podcast last night, I referred to a painting in the beginning of my podcast last night. I was a little shook because I had saw this painting that people said I told somebody last night, this is not biblical. I don't give a shit what you say. These people, none of them have on no clothes, and they all little boys and men. This is not biblical. This is what you are saying to try to get people to consent to your pedo behavior. This has nothing to do with the Bible. And they keep saying the Bible. What Bible? You have to challenge these people because they pushing shit on you. Understand that's what's happening. Oh, this is okay. It was in the Bible. What Bible? No, the hell it wasn't. That had nothing to do with what they said it was. It was disgusting. So what it should prove with Black people and all the inventions that we have, and even in the darkest times where they tried to suffocate Black people, the culture, our lives, the persons, careers, everything, eradicate us as if we're some type of scourge of the earth, when actually, no, we're not. Why they over here eating children? They are the goddamn savages. that they claim the natives were, that they want to say we are. Sometimes people hate you because they think you're going to expose them. They don't really hate you, but they have to move you out the way so they can continue on with their little massacre of the innocents. Because there's a group of people that seemingly they can convince and get their consent to continue. And it should tell you that that's what it is, because ain't nobody over here being locked up. When you think about all Black people had to endure and how they say they didn't want us on the island because we was going to challenge them and be unruly and not be convinced. And they took these kids' teeth out their mouth so they couldn't bite back. Because we're going to tell. They don't hate us because they keep trying to emulate us. They want our melanin. They want our culture. But they don't want us to see that they're eating children and that too many people are okay with the trafficking and the abuse. That's why they don't want us. Because we going to tell or do something or hold them accountable. The fact that this all comes back to a big pedo ring tells you that that's all it's ever been about. Because the behavior was the same in slavery. Black people and what they did to Black people is what they have been doing to these children. Why you think we not their choice of meat anymore? So be proud that your people are resilient. Be proud of your God-gifted melanin. And be proud of the culture we have built after being enslaved and brought over here and tortured the way they torturing them damn children and eating the way they've eaten them damn children and lied on the way they've been lying on them damn children. And not just little girls, little boys. People want to say girls because somehow it makes them feel better. It makes them feel justified. It was little boys. If you go look at the massacre of the innocents, that's little boys. When Susan Smith told that lie, it said some Black men kidnapped her kids, but she ended the lives, unalived her own kids and drowned them. But she blamed us. It's the same thing when the NFL unfollowed only Jay-Z and not Peyton Manning or the 9 owners that's on the list. It's Susan Smith, Jay-Z. The fact that this comes back to a big pedo ring and they have women enabling and protecting them makes me think about the 53% of white women that voted for 47. And what it should do is point out who the real enemy is. Because for women who bring children into this world, to be pulled close, enabled, and trained to keep it going while the Maxwell lady is in jail or the Epstein dude is over there in Tel Aviv. It shows you who you really can't trust. These are the same women that voted down women's rights. So it's just not women versus men. It's women versus women. Some women, this is the message, will do to other women what they'll never do and never have the courage to do. So don't just fear some of these men or feel like you got to stay away from them or they are the problem. No. It's reported that the Maxwell lady decided how these women would be abused. So for some of us, there are women around you that you're not looking at as your enemy, but you should. That's the message. So I'm gonna get out of here because I'm coming back and I'm gonna tell you what I'm talking about, and you can feel free to join the live, but I'm doing it regardless. Late last night, I was catching up after I did my members podcast. I ran into a post that had a photo of Meghan Markle. And the photo was her supposedly with the girlfriend of Epstein, right? The Karina lady, the dentist, the one that pulled the lady's teeth, and they had her on the yacht with all these other people too. And the first thing when somebody was talking about it, I said, did she know who they were? And I thought about it. I said, that's why they left the country. That's why they gave up their titles and they left, because they were sending these women around Meghan Markle, and she was told by the royals, we want you to hang out with them, and they was trying to set her up. So I'm going live because Prince Andrew's arrest, the former Prince Andrew, the brother of King Charles, who was arrested, has vindicated Meghan Markle, vindicated Prince Harry. That's why they got the hell out of there, because she found out. See, in those tight royal circles, she can't just pick her friends. They chose those people to compromise her. Why? Because they didn't like her brown-skinned son. He ain't even really brown-skinned. They didn't like her because she's black. So her husband stood by her, and they got the hell on and left all of that. Now you know why. Now you know why. And they were going to make it look like it was her idea. She can't pick her friends, just like he wasn't supposed to pick her. And it told you that they all were ganging up on her. She's been vindicated. So I'm getting ready to go live and talk about that because it's huge. She was never the problem. And now we know why they came to the States. And do you know where they went? And at the time, it was a good thing. Do you know where they fled to? Tyler Perry's California mansion. And that was before he ended up being in what he is in. You see how it moves? You see how it moves? It targets. They were targeting her. They weren't just complaining about her son's skin tone. They were targeting her because she's black. And if they got something on her, they could use that to exile her. But they knew about Prince Andrew the whole time. So I'll be back later to talk about that. Feel free to join me if you want to. I think it's huge. I think it exposes a lot, right? It exposes a lot. And she's taken a lot of hatred. If you think Shedeur is hated, if you think Angel Reese is hated, if you think Coach Prime is hated, if you think LeBron's son Brady is hated, this woman right here was hated, and she was just black. And what did I say about sometimes they don't want black people around because we're going to find out what's going on? And what did they do? They left. That's why. And when you leave, they think you're going to tell. So they try to destroy your reputation. That's what they said happened to Michael Jackson. He found out, and he tried to help those kids. And they framed him. When Michael Jackson died, do y'all know they put pictures of babies in his room around him? They kept him anesthetized. They ran him on anesthesia every night. They anesthetized him every night. And when he finally took his last breath, there was nothing but pictures of babies in the room. That was a message for him, for trying to help their targets. I told you, they do not like when you try to stop them and take away their victims who they see as toys. And I wasn't kidding about that. So I'll be back tonight to talk about that, right? All right. So I hope you enjoyed this podcast. I'm going to have to, I got time to go through the comments, and then I'm going to have to run because I'm going to be on there probably for a minute or two because it's huge. It's huge, right? Clara said, you are right. And a lot of these women are hating on themselves. Yep. Look at who has been set up to keep it going to protect. That's disgusting. That's disgusting. And now people understand it. Like, that's why they never wanted women to be able to choose. They claim to be pro-life. How you pro-life and you eating children? You just wanted these women not to be able to terminate pregnancies so you could have more people to eat. That's really what it is. You could have more people to victimize. More children. That's all. That's what it is. That's just what it is. That's just what it is. Instead, I thought Batonio had until March to decide if he was going to retire or return. Did they change it? They changed his contract, Nisi. They changed his contract. They took the voids out. So they making it, what they're doing is working towards making his contract palpable for him to want to stay. So they trying to entice him to stay when he should have been forced out. So when By Design said, is it possible that he had some information, coercion, extortion to threaten him with, so they have to keep him? That's a valid question, because he knows where the bodies are buried, just like Stefanski knew where the bodies are buried. And as you could see, Stefanski was elevated and paid handsomely. And now it's Batonio. And maybe Batonio wants not just his contract, maybe he wants to be traded. I don't know why he would even want to stay in Cleveland, because the fans criticized him heavily because he was the leader of the team and he was caught dirt diving. So he wants something. So let's see if extortion has entered the chat, but they seem happy to accommodate. So whatever the information they have on them, because they know where the bodies are buried, seems to be working for the people that they either bribed, intimidated, or coerced to try to take down Shedeur. Let me know your thoughts. Did y'all hear about the Lions player involved in the robbery ring? He was in court today. You know what I did? I didn't get a chance to talk about it, but we can talk about it tonight. It's so much happening. It's so much happening. No, Batonio's not gone yet, Clara. He's still there. Instead, they need to be looking for O-line instead of worried about a quarterback, right? That's it. That's it, Bridget. That's exactly what they need to be doing. Because honestly, you have a quarterback. And I'm like, are they having this conversation? Are they trying to mess with Shedeur head? He ain't paying attention to them. I said, they trying to convince the fans that they need a quarterback. So, because they can be justified in sending Andrew Berry to go get one. Fans are pushing back. We good. This means we good. That's what this means. We're good. So every time you need to use that photo of Deshaun and his wife, it's all over social media. Just make sure you have copy, and that's what you respond with. We good. And that means you can't pit Shedeur against Deshaun. That's exactly what that means. There will be no pitting of Shedeur against Deshaun. There will be no pitting of Malik or Kyler Murray or Geno Smith or anybody else against Shedeur. But I don't think it's going to be Geno Smith. Geno Smith and Peyton Manning are both mentioned in the Epstein files. I don't think they need them two in the same space. And understand, Peyton Manning is over there in the shadows. His people are already on the ground. Tom Telesco is one. So understand that. So they're saying Batonio is also the NFL Player Association rep for the team. Yep. And somebody said Cam Robinson is a rep for the team. See, now what does that say? What does it say that 68 and Batonio, Cam Robinson and Batonio, both rep the team in some way? And either Cam Robinson rep the Texans, and now he over there with the Browns. Maybe Batonio leaves, he takes that. But the point is, if Batonio was the leader and he was dirt diving, Jack Conklin dirt diving, Cam Robinson setting up Shedeur, and so does number 72, right? What does this say? What is this? That's the whole O-line. You should have no problem. That's who you should cut. You shouldn't even be talking about Denzel Ward. That should have never, ever came up. But I'm going to tell you why that came up. So Denzel Ward could hear it in the media, and he know to straighten up and fly right. That's intimidation. There was no reason to even talk about Denzel Ward being on a cut list. For what? They already had Wyatt Teller on there. Their cut list was nothing but people who supported Shedeur and Joku Wyatt Teller, Denzel Ward. That's who was on the projected cut list. 3 people who supported Shedeur, but they want to save and hold on to. This the owner, because he did the same thing with Stefanski. That's who that is. But see, Andrew Berry want to cape up for the owner. All right, because you're going to get it. Yeah, you keep, because your job already gone anyway. But you see who he caping up for. And you saw all of that playing in Shedeur's face. You see? So he want to cape up to protect the owner. Why? Are y'all related? You see? You see how black people can further white supremacy? And people want to say they're the most diverse team. For what reason? Like Jerry Jeudy, he's a part of the diversity, right? Look what he did. Andrew Berry, devaluing black players. That's it. Pay attention to the draft when you find out who's drafted. They should already have conversations about, all they should be talking about is we're going to get this O-lineman. We're going to get that O-lineman. No, you want to talk about who you going to get on the O-line that should be gone because you want them to finish the job where Shedeur is concerned. And I told y'all, this is going exactly like it did in Atlanta when the fans got together and banded together and pushed that Michael Penix Jr. is the starter. And what did he end up with? 2 ACLs torn? A double ACL taking him out the game? Be careful. Because they will try to show you. Oh, the fans want to push back. All right, we'll let him get out there and play. He only going to win 6 games. Why? Is he not going to be available for 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 through 18? Oh, they got plans. This is a dusty playbook. All right, so I'm going to see y'all later. I'll be back tonight at 10:35 for sure, but I'm going to work on my Meghan Markle piece, and I'll be live momentarily to talk about that because it's huge. It's huge. And do not forget, there are NFL owners and 2 quarterbacks on that list, along with an NFL agent who was Casey Wasserman, all on the E-Files list. So I'll see y'all later. Thanks for hanging out with the Midday Huddle. Thanks for watching What She Said Sports. And I'll see y'all on the next podcast. See you later.